The Nigerian Economic Summit Group, in its role as connector, dialogue partner, watchdog, and intervener,
when you first start business, your target is to make your first million.
Seeks to change the narrative and trajectory of the Nigerian economy. Together with our partners, we're not just solving problems, but preventing them, because when advocacy succeeds, the nation transforms for the better. But advocacy is for the strong. It takes fact-based inputs, resilience, partnerships, courage, and a lot of heroes. So be our hero. Subscribe to our channel, listen to our messages, and engage with us. Together, we can transform Nigerian lives, communities, and businesses. Welcome to the NESG Radio. Hello, and welcome to NESG Radio, a weekly podcast where we dialogue about critical issues and the ideas to resolve them in the national interest. I'm your host, Yinka Inyolako. I've got two guests today to have a conversation on the link between SMEs and the capital market. This duo lead formidable teams at the Nigerian Exchange Group, NGX, a leading listing and trading venue in Africa. My first guest, Miss Ugochi Obi, is a focused and experienced learning and development specialist. Ugochi is currently the head X-Academy, with the obligation to ensure education of the public and the capital market operators on capital market and financial affairs. Second and not least is Lanre Odufua. He is the team lead growth, services and conglomerates, primary markets, and the listing division at NGX. Lanre is extremely passionate about deepening financial inclusion in the sub-Saharan Africa towards improving the lives of millions of Nigerians by providing access to cost-effective financial products. Welcome, Ugochi and Lanre.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's good to have you on NESG Radio. So we'll go straight into it. Recently, the Nigerian Stock Exchange morphed into the Nigerian Exchange Group. Can you break down these recent changes?
Thank you, Yinka. The Nigerian Stock Exchange recently completed its demutualization exercise and morphed into the Nigerian Exchange, having obtained final approval from the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. The successful demutualization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange led to the creation of the holding group, which is the NGX Group PLC, and its three operating subsidiaries, namely Nigerian Exchange Limited, or NGX, the operating exchange, the NGX Regulations Limited, NGX Regco, the independent regulatory company, and NGX Real Estate Limited, or NGX Relco, the real estate company, which was necessary for us to support the overall development of the Nigerian capital market. This demutualization exercise marks a very historic milestone for the exchange, as it better positions us to execute our strategic vision to be Africa's premier exchange hub and offer our stakeholders a new corporate structure with no loss of service, enhanced corporate governance, and a more globally competitive exchange. This transformation also allows, this transformation from membership to ownership also allows the exchange to offer more innovation, foster more partnerships, and provide innovative products and solutions for the Nigerian capital market.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much for that. So it helps us understand and go into the conversation a lot better. So under these subsidiaries, working with all of these subsidiaries is something called the X-Academy. I'll come to you, Ugochi. Why was the X-Academy set up? And what does it do?
Thank you, Yinka. The X-Academy is the knowledge hub of the exchange, and it was established to provide education services to individuals who want to have a better understanding and better knowledge of the various aspects of the capital and the financial market. Not just that, it was also done to help to reduce the number of adult Nigerians who are financially excluded. And so we provide an array of training solutions that would ensure these individuals are abreast with trends in the rapidly evolving financial markets. Yeah, so we want to educate these people, which consist of individuals, companies, investors, financial and capital market operators, so they're better positioned to make informed financial decisions.
That's fantastic. And knowledge is power, right? And the world is constantly changing.
Exactly.
So it's important for people to train and retrain and get to know more things.
Yes.
So that's awesome. I'll come back to you, Lauren. At the NGX, and there's so many initiatives, in the past when it was the stock exchange and even now. What are these successes that have been attained in recent times?
Thank you, Inka. Nigerian Exchange Group has, over the years, has led capital market innovation, supported the growth of the Nigerian capital market. We can beat our chest to say we are probably the foremost exchange in Africa, having been able to grow our market capitalizations for both debt and equity to close to 38 trillion. And that is across equity and debt, or bonds specifically. The NGX has also driven listings for a number of Nigerian large corporates. We have fostered cross-border engagements where a few of our Nigerian entities have been able to expand to the global arena. And this we've been able to do with partnerships such as with the London Stock Exchange, where a few of our companies are dual listed on both the London Stock Exchange and the Nigerian Exchange. This allows for greater flow of capital from both foreign and local investors.
That's fantastic. So we're moving to another side of the conversation now where we'll break it down. These are successful organizations, corporates in Nigeria, and also were listed, on the London Stock Exchange. Let's talk about our SMEs. Many of these companies started as SMEs and they scaled, successfully, and they became these companies. So my next question will be about capital, right? Recently, in collaboration with the Northern Trade Groups and Chambers of Commerce, it highlighted, capital raising capacity in the stock market for small and medium scale enterprises, in the country. Capital is so critical. A recent poll by the NSG highlighted capital as one of the most critical shortcomings, SMEs say that they have. So what type of financing is available to SMEs at the NGX?
With respect to SME financing, the Nigerian Group Board has been designed to encourage small and medium-sized companies with market values ranging from as low as 50 million naira to 4 billion. And this threshold has been done to support companies below that threshold to raise long-term capital, stimulate growth, and promote liquidity. Recently, we had a listings of a small telco company who was able to list on the group board without concerns regarding meeting the general market capitalization on the other board. The board targets fast growth companies such as SMEs operating in various sectors, including technology companies, which we've seen are more these days, and connects them to an extensive pool of investors. The group board companies will enjoy the full complement of value-added services, namely institutional services, investor relations, analyst coverage, corporate access, corporate governance, and expanded designated financial advisors, reduced fee structures, relaxed entry criteria, reduced post-listing obligations, and increased turnaround time for approvals. And this has also formed our new strategic shift to be able to support SMEs in the capital market. SMEs are able to access capital on the NGX platform, either in the form of debt or equity. Businesses looking to raise capital, for instance, equity capital, can do so through an initial public offering or a follow-on offering after they are listed, which usually called a supplementary offer, to raise additional capital. NGX currently has 3 distinct boards: the main board, premium board, and the group board, to meet capital raising needs. But specifically, we have targeted the group board to speak to SMEs and specifically growth capital. The choice of boards is actually largely dependent on the strategic intent of the company, size, scope, and governance, as well as listing requirements for the board. But in the design of the growth board, we took into consideration the peculiar nuances that SMEs face in surpassing the hurdles of our listing requirements and make it a bit more listing light or listing friendly. Also, SMEs can also raise funds through the debt capital market, through issuance of debt instruments. Two specifically that we use in this climb are corporate bonds or green bonds. And this allows them to do that. They can actually list, or they can avoid public quotation by using a joint venture structure, an SPV structure. Typically, a corporate bond is a debt issued to a company in order for it to raise capital. Whereas for green bonds, also types of debt, but targeted at companies looking at environmental sustainability,
right,
etc. Green bonds usually tax incentives behind green bonds to enhance the attractiveness to investors. We've also seen other growing classes of investments, such as sukuk bonds and infrastructure bonds. But saying it again, the Group Board, I think, addresses the needs of SMEs. It provides that solution where you can access long-term patent capital at cheaper financing.
So, Larry, I'm an entrepreneur running an SME, listening right now. How do I get access to more information on the group?
Okay, so to support business development efforts and also to, allow us to foster more engagement with prospective issuers, they can speak to the primary markets team, which is literally responsible for driving listings on the Nigerian Exchange Limited. You can access us through our group email, which is primarymarkets@ngxgroup.com.
Thank you very much. Ugochi, another critical necessity for SMEs is skill, right, and capacity building. Many people say that at the bottom of, growth of the country is human capital development, because when you grow your people, right, then people become efficient and are able to deliver on whatever ideas that they have. So what programs are offered on the X-Academy that can influence innovation, right, particularly in this case for SMEs?
Yes, Yinka, you're right. And because of our drive at the Exchange, that is quite important for us. And that's one of the reasons the Academy was established, as I'd mentioned earlier. So one thing we have, apart from educating them on the different products of the Exchange, which my colleague had mentioned, ways on how to lease or how to acquire capital, give them in-depth knowledge, practical knowledge, not just theory, showing them how and holding them. We also educate them on corporate governance, which is one of the most important aspects they should have as an SME. And for instance, we'll give you the newcomer 2020. We'll take you through how does it affect you, what do you need to know, and how do you acquire that. We also teach them on financial innovations, technological innovations, like the fintech, for instance, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, all the different aspects that's involved. Even at that, we also teach them things on incubation. When you have an idea, how do you go about it? How do you establish it? And if you're already established, how do you scale up, to not just remain the same? So we teach all that and help them to be innovative and going along with the current trends that's happening. And that's what differentiates us from others, because we teach in line with the current trends that's happening. I'll give an example. When the pandemic hit, companies didn't know how to handle corporate governance meetings and what should be done, because people were meeting face-to-face, they were all that. And we came up and gave them how to do that. We also helped SMEs that, get ready so that investors can find them interesting enough. We have even gone ahead to establish an ethics and integrity platform that will help them to get them graded, and become viable for investors to see them quickly in a network. So we also involve them into networks. So we try as much as possible to expose them, to ensure that, one, they are seen, they're available for investors, which is critical, and they are ready to grow and not just fail. That's one of the things we do.
That's fantastic. Same question I asked Larry. So, entrepreneur looking to get some services from the X-Academy, how can they reach?
Oh, fantastic. We're everywhere. Thank goodness for this avenue as well. But from the group's website, you'll see the X-Academy and you're able to see all that we're offering. Our email is xacademy@ngxgroup.com. The X-Academy is with a hyphen after the X. And then, so if you contact us, our calendar of trainings are available on the website where our details are there. So if you contact us, we'll help you, we'll guide you and show you how to go about it.
Thank you very much. I'm sure a lot of people listening right now will find value in all these initiatives, and they would use that to scale their business. Brings me to my final question, and I'll come to you, Larry. As a profitable SME that's scaling well and with hopes of scaling effectively to become a larger corporation, right? What are the steps and processes on how that company can go public?
Thank you, Inka. I would say the journey to go public or being listed on the exchange should be seen as a process that requires firm dedication and commitment from prospective issuers to achieve such a monumental transformation. The most important steps towards listing as a first step is the conversion from a private limited liability company to a public limited company, which will of course be approved by the Corporate and Affairs Commission and also mandated by the board of the private company. Thereafter, following the approval and the appointment of parties to what we like to call the transaction, which will be of course mandated by the board and owners of the company, it allows these companies to start to speak to financial advisors, professional service companies, in order to start putting their books in order. For example, some private companies do not understand that for financial reporting, the standard is IFRS. And so a lot of them have to go through that process of getting their financials
right.
IFRS. There are also legal tax implications that will be addressed once you have a nimble and efficient team, but which is largely driven by the financial advice. So once you've gotten your mandate, I would always say that getting a financial advisor who would also help write or put in place a roadmap on how your journey with the capital market will evolve. Thereafter, it's just a matter of these approvals from the SEC, from the Nigerian Exchange Group. But it is a journey, like I said, and also other things like, do you have the right corporate governance structures?
Right.
And also coming back to Ugochi, offering trainings to help them understand the responsibilities of being a listed company.
Right.
What are the things they have to put in place? It also involves, putting a right management team, separating ownership from management. Best corporate governance practices,
right,
etc.
That's fantastic. So much information. I'm sure that whatever listener is on this platform right now has gained a lot from this conversation. So thank you, Ugochi, and thank you, Larry, for being on NESG Radio today. Thank you very much for your time, and your insight has helped us a lot. You've been listening to SME Conversations on NESG Radio. Miss Ugochi Obi and Mr. Larry Odufua from the Nigerian Exchange Group have been phenomenal. Join us again next week for a brand new conversation. Remember to subscribe to our digital channels. Visit www.nesgroup.org/podcast. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to our content today. Remember to subscribe to the NESG Radio. Follow us across all social media channels and visit our website www.nesgroup.org/NESG Radio. NESG, in the national interest.